Arsenal have beaten Manchester City in the Community Shield final. What a brilliant win for Arsenal. Can it be as important as Arsenal fans might seem? They beat them 4-1 on penalties after a 1-1 draw in, well, the 100 minutes now that we're going to have in games. And there are a lot of things to talk about in this episode, knowing the match and how it could contribute to next season. Although, to start with, football is finally back and we've got to see Premier League teams finally play again, obviously apart from in pre-season games. New kit's looking good. Tell me in the comments, how do you think they look? I think they're looking pretty snazzy. Championship games have been kicking off, and League 1, League 2. Some good results, some good games to watch as well. I watched the Leeds game against Cardiff. It looked like it was all going bust for Leeds, but they managed to just get back and get a point. Leicester winning, Southampton winning, with Ward-Prowse. Could that be something to talk about? And some good games in League 1 as well. But we're going to talk about the Community Shield today on this episode. And I do think it was a very important game for Arsenal because, and it was a massive result for Arsenal. Obviously, the Community Shield doesn't show us exactly what's going to happen next season, as we saw last season with Man City losing it to Liverpool, and Haaland didn't have the best of games, and obviously we know what happened last season with Haaland. Also, that game, Núñez had a brilliant game and looked like he could be a very good striker going into the Premier League, and obviously that did not happen. So it's not something to say, well, now that Arsenal have won it, they are going to have a good chance for a title. Although it could be the case, and Arsenal fans have got to look up to it and think, well, if we can do that in a big game at Wembley, then we can do it in the league. They haven't beaten Man City in the league since Arteta was playing, though, so it will be hard to do that. So if they are going to have any bid for the league, they're going to have to hope that other teams drop points and that Man City drop points, and they can get points and not bottle games to teams that they did last season, like Southampton, West Ham, Liverpool. But that victory is very important because Arsenal haven't managed to beat Man City in the last 8 games, and their last game was in July 2020 in the FA Cup against Man City when Aubameyang was still playing for them. So that says something. And to beat the treble winners at Wembley just before the season starts has to mean something. That is a somewhat statement win for Arsenal. I mean, although there are some interesting facts that can be taken away from the game, one of the big things that we saw with Aaron Ramsdale, with his sort of turbulent week that he must have had leading up to it, with all the speculation around whether David Raya was coming to Arsenal, must have hindered his confidence, knowing that he was looking to be replaced, probably. And although he said he had a brilliant performance, he stopped Arsenal from conceding a lot of goals that game. There was nothing he could do about Cole Palmer's shot. That was a brilliant shot, and credit to him, he could be a brilliant player next season, and he could get quite a bit of game time for Man City. But he said after the game, it's a marker to know that we can go and beat City in a big game when it matters. I'm not sure what it will be like this season, but that's our mental block gone. Do somewhat agree with him because they've not managed to beat City in 9 games in all competitions. So just before the start of the season, that'll give him tremendous confidence, knowing that they can beat the big dogs at the top and who have won the treble and everything. And Declan Rice is definitely a perfect replacement for Xhaka. That's what I've put down, because in that game he he obviously wasn't a standout player. He wasn't, he didn't win the game for Arsenal, and he was. Although I do think he's a step up from Xhaka. He got very physical with the Man City players, won the ball back a lot, which he did at West Ham, and made some key passes. And I don't think he made too many mistakes that were fatal. Timber is looking like a solid defender as well. I think he just did what he needed to do. And he probably stopped Arsenal from conceding quite a few chances. Him and Saliba at the back could be looking really, really good for next season, especially if Zinchenko's back, and probably Ben White at right back, who actually had quite a good game, Ben White, and could boost his confidence going into next season. I know Timber's boot came off actually at one point. And it, on the City side of things, it doesn't look like they're losing Mahrez too much, because the front three of Haaland, Alvarez and Grealish is still an absolutely lethal attack. And I still think they can score tons and tons of goals with those three. Alvarez is a very prolific goal scorer. We know what Haaland can do, and Grealish still maybe needs a bit of time, but once he's fully settled into City's style of play and starts interpreting his style of play into it, doing what he did at Aston Villa, then if he can get 10, 15 goals a season, so can Alvarez, and Haaland can do his thing, then that's a lot of goals that City can bring to the table. Although there was a big question after the game about whether Arsenal were celebrating too much, and as a football fan, especially a West Ham fan, when we don't get to celebrate much, I don't think there's anything wrong with celebrating too much. I don't think you can tell a team how much to celebrate after winning something. I know that the Community Shield isn't a massive game. It's more of a pre-season friendly, but at Wembley, it doesn't contribute to anything. You don't get into Europe or do anything. But to say that they've come to Wembley and beaten treble winners, the best team in the world at the moment, and just got some silverware from technically last season's season is an achievement. The Community Shield isn't like a European trophy, but it's still a trophy, and Arsenal still see that as a victory. So why not celebrate? You can't tell a team and fans how much to celebrate, because if that was me, and if West Ham had gone and done that, I would be absolutely buzzing. I wouldn't be thinking, oh well, it's just the Community Shield and it's not that big of a deal. I'd be buzzing about it. But anyway, tell me what you thought about the game, whether Arsenal can launch a bid for the title. Maybe, very early on this season to think about that. We'll be getting our predictions in for Game Week 1 soon. And cheers for watching. See you next time. Get your opinions in the comments. Thank you very much. Goodbye.